Hey there, Fletcher from All Things Overlanding here, and today on the podcast, I'm going to be talking about the cost of goods going up, the tariffs going into effect, and will it kill overlanding? Is overlanding becoming too expensive, right? So today I'm going to be talking about that topic. I'm going to give you my feelings, sort of my opinions on it, some things that I've seen, and I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say too. So if you are watching on YouTube, definitely post up in the comments down below. If you're on Spotify, you should be able to post up in the comments down below. And if you're just on the podcast, there are links in the description to all my social channels. I'd love it if you join the conversation over there and come and tell me what you think on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you want to hang out. So let's talk today about tariffs and the cost of everything, inflation going up, and whether or not it's going to kill overlanding.
Understand where it came from, but you got it, my got it. It began in the land of the sandstorm. I fought it, though I wanted everything to do with what you gave to me. Loosening my grip.
All right, so as I mentioned in the intro today, I'm talking about the cost of goods going up, the tariffs coming into effect. There have been a lot of financial changes. People's 401ks have been seriously affected, my own included, by the way. This stuff is serious and it's hitting all of us, right? And it's definitely having an impact on our ability to be able to afford to do things like overlanding, right? Like going out and doing hobbies. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about kind of what I've seen, what, different vendors have been saying. And again, this is a conversation, right? All my podcasts are meant to kind of just create a topic for you guys to kind of think about. And then I want to hear from you guys. That's what makes this interesting. But so let's start with these tariffs, right? The biggest tariffs have been levied against China. And China, of course, as we all know, is the primary producer of most goods nowadays, but especially in the overlanding space. It seems like almost everything is made in China. My rooftop tent is made in China. My awning is made in China. My Rotopax is made in America. My cab rack is made in China. My winch is made in China. There's just so many things that are made in China that, they've kind of become the manufacturing powerhouse of the world. And we've gotten rid of a lot of that infrastructure, right? Like for all these people that say, well, just make it in America. Of course, that would be wonderful, right? We'd love to return back to sort of a manufacturing powerhouse. But one, no one wants to do that work anymore, right? It's very tough to find people to do manual labor, especially for the prices that we're paying because our minimum wage is still pitiful, right? It's not much more than it was when I was younger. So that combined with the fact that it's hard work makes it pretty difficult to move things to the US. And the other thing is it's not going to happen overnight. Like corporations, unfortunately, sold us out and said, hey, it's way cheaper to just produce my stuff over there. I'm going to pay China to make this stuff so that I make a bigger profit, right? And as a result, now we are all kind of stuck paying for these corporations' greed over the years, in my opinion, right? Now, again, post up in the comments below. I'm not trying to get political or anything like that. I'm not going to say anything about politics, but it's just a fact of the matter, right? Like, I mean, we have for the last, 40, 50, 60 plus years been outsourcing things to try and make a bigger buck off of the products that these corporations sell. And for those of us that buy things, it's tricky, right? Because we want convenience. We want quick shipping. That Amazon stuff is a really big draw. It's hard to buy something from a local manufacturer that has to take time to build that thing, to test that thing, to ship that thing, and to ship it at a reasonable rate where it's not going to cost them so much that it deteriorates their entire profit margin on the product that they're making and shipping to you. So a lot of us choose convenience. A lot of us choose quick shipping time. We deal with Amazon because it's really easy to return things. I personally have done this quite a few times, and it's kind of a catch-22 where it's like, I don't make enough money to be able to go out and pay full retail price on the manufacturer's website, but if it's on sale on a lightning deal on Amazon and I can return it if I don't like it, I'm going to buy it through Amazon. But again, as a result, this is just the result of corporate changes over the years that have kind of, again, put us in this situation. So now that we see this stuff, I've started to see emails from a lot of vendors, especially again in the overlanding space. There are a lot of smaller guys and girls that make products that they designed here in the US, that they envisioned here in the US, that they would love to make here in the US, but they don't have the components that they need. They don't have the manufacturing skill and or ability to produce the mass that they need, the quantity that they need. So they have to outsource that. So now, these big companies are going to make it, right? They'll be fine. Does it suck for them? Sure. But they'll find a way to skirt those taxes, like the big corporations always do, right? They're not going to pay their fair share. They're going to put it back on us, the consumer. But what it's really doing, I think, is it's killing a lot of these smaller businesses, these people that are like, handcrafting these things or came up with this original idea and now get it manufactured overseas. And now we're sitting there saying, I have an entire crate or an entire shipping container full of my product that normally when I ship it in, it costs me $600 per unit. And now it costs me $1,000 or $1,200 or $1,500 per unit because of the tariffs. And so they're just sitting on them, right? They can't import them. They either have to raise their prices on all of us and we have to pay that difference so that they can, import those and sell them, or they sit on them, which is what I'm hearing from more of them. More of my folks that I know in the industry are saying, I'm just not importing. I'm just pausing. I'm selling the stock that I've got in stock and I'm just going to wait, right? In hopes that this turns around, in hopes that these tariffs get removed. So I think that scarcity is going to become an issue. I think that prices are going to go up regardless. They're going to go up. If you import with the tariffs, then your prices are going to go up, right? Because the tariffs added additional cost to the price of those goods for the importer. So then they're going to have to pass that on to you, or they're going to lose money, which why would you do that? That's not what you're in business for, right? Or they're going to sit on them and there's going to become a scarcity issue where we're just not going to have as much stuff, right? We're not going to have as many things here for people to buy. And that causes a problem, right? It's going to cause it's supply and demand. So if there are less things here for us to buy, then the prices are going to go up on them anyways. Even though they didn't pay more for those, they're going to say, I only have 100 units left of this. I can't afford to import more, so I'm not going to sell them at a 20% margin. I'm going to have to sell them at a 50% margin just to keep the lights on, right? While I wait for these tariffs to come off so that I can import the rest of my products. So I definitely do think that the tariffs are going to have a huge impact on this stuff. I think we've all been seeing 5, 10, 15 years now, inflation's just been going up like this because the minimum wage isn't being raised. Our dollars aren't keeping up. People making, $75,000, $80,000 today are equal to, and I'm ballparking this here from stuff that I've read or heard before, people that made $50,000 in the early 2000s, right? So like your dollar doesn't stretch as far. So you combine that lack of buying power with increased tariffs and increased costs on goods, and it is a tricky time. So will it impact overlanding? Yes, obviously, it's definitely going to impact overlanding because all these parts are going to get more and more expensive, right? The more expensive they get, the less casual people you're going to have kind of entering overlanding. Now, some people may say that's a good thing, right? Some people may say, great, that means I have less people clogging up the trails. I have less people doing things they shouldn't because they don't know any better. I have less people taking up my camp spots. And to some degree, that is true. But I think that innovation, I think that, the boom of overlanding products, the boom that has given us, great aftermarket support for things like my Nissan Frontier, for things like rooftop tents, the fact that it's gotten competitive enough where prices have finally come down and rooftop tents aren't $2,500 to $5,000 anymore. They're $1,000 to $3,000 now, and some are more, right? But the general average price has come down because of competition and demand. Unfortunately, I think that that's going to go back up. So on one hand, yes, you'll have less people out on the trails. You'll have less people at campsites. That's always better for us that want to be out here and want to kind of be by ourselves, right? I'm in the middle of nowhere by myself. I haven't seen anybody in a long time. But I also don't want to discourage people from finding this because 5, 6, 7 years ago, I didn't know what overlanding was, right? And I had just started to kind of learn about it. I just started to take some trips. I started with easy camping trips and then I went on longer trips. And I really started to think about building my vehicle in a way that supports the travel and not the just off-roading. Like I wasn't just building it to be the biggest, baddest truck that I possibly could. I was building it to specifically overcome the obstacles that I would most commonly face while being able to be reliant on the vehicle. And I was able to do that because prices were really low for a while. So, 5, 6, 7 years ago during COVID and stuff, there was just no one was going out. The prices were all down. That's why overlanding boomed in the 2020 plus zone and it's kind of slowed down is because you could only go places where people weren't. And the cost of goods was really low. The cost of fuel was really low. So that is definitely a thing that impacted that back then. And then now with these tariffs and all these changes, we're definitely seeing an increase in that, which I think is going to equal a decrease in casual interest in overlanding, which also, again, could negatively impact innovation, R&D, new products coming to market, that kind of thing. I also fear that it's going to crush some of these smaller companies, right? Some of these companies that have really cool ideas, these individuals that think up some sort of a cool, unique thing that they solve because they go overlanding and they have this problem and no one else has solved it. They now don't have access as well as they did or at the price that they did to utilize something overseas that's going to make it affordable for them to be able to produce those products that they want to produce to help all of us with overland. So I think that is probably my biggest fear is that some of the innovation, some of the unique products, some of the new companies entering the space is going to decrease. You could also argue conversely that that's good because some of them were junk, right? Some people did bad work or made bad products or just tried to jump on the overlanding trend. And I think we can all agree that we don't want any of that, right? Like that's not what we want, is people trying to take advantage of us or other consumers that are trying to enter overlanding. But that also means that you can't separate the good from the bad. That means that the good companies, the good individuals that had great ideas, may be impacted by this stuff, right? So that's unfortunate. Okay, but so to sort of wrap this up, this one's going to be a little bit of a quick one. What will this really mean for overlanding, right? And I'm going to say, in my opinion, I think what this is going to do for overlanding is, again, it's going to probably continue to decrease that sort of spontaneous interest in it. It's going to decrease the number of people that just randomly decide to pick it up one day and go out and explore. I think it is going to negatively impact the smaller companies. But what my hope is that it kind of aligns with my feelings that I've always had, and I've said this a million times on podcasts before, on my YouTube channel, all over the place, is this should definitely not stop you from getting out and exploring with what you have. What I'm hopeful that this does is it gets more people to not buy into the, like, I need to go buy a new truck, I need to spend a ton of money, I need to mod the crap out of it, I need to make it a big, huge monster truck and put all these parts on it, but instead say, hey, you know what? I have a 4-year-old Honda Pilot, and it has enough ground clearance to hit some gravel roads, and I've got a Coleman tent at home, and I've got a sleeping bag and an air mattress and some other things that I can use that I already have. Take that stuff and go out and enjoy it, right? Get out and explore, get out and see things, get out and check out new places, and just use what you've got, right? You don't have to buy into the consumerism hype. You don't have to go out and buy all this stuff. You don't have to pay the higher prices that are coming, right? That are here or coming in the future for some of this gear. That doesn't mean you don't have to do overlanding. It just means you may want to be smarter about your spending and kind of prioritize stuff and wait to buy things until hopefully these tariffs kind of go away or get sorted out and prices come back down to a reasonable point. So what do you guys think? I'd love it if you are watching on YouTube or on Spotify, if you post it up down in the comments down below. If you're just listening on the podcast, there are links, like I mentioned, to all my social channels. Come and hang out. Come and tell me your thoughts on this episode. I'd love to hear from you, because I think this is something that's going to continue to develop. This isn't going away tomorrow, right? I think it's going to be happening for a while. And so I'm kind of curious to see what happens. So maybe in like a year or something, we'll do a follow-up episode and we'll kind of see how things shook out. But again, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts and what you think is going to happen. As always, there is a join button below this video if you're watching on YouTube. That is just a passive way to support the channel. Gives you early access to the videos and things like that, as well as these podcasts. There's also a link to my Patreon page where we've got a 24/7 Discord, and we kind of chat about our rigs and our gear. We do a once-a-month Zoom call, and we're trying to get together once or twice a year. It's been a ton of fun. It's a great group of people, so we'd love to have you in there. Also in the description below will be links to my website where I've got funny overlanding camping themed patches and stickers, things like F people, let's go overlanding, or I hate people so I camp, or don't burn your wiener and it's a hot dog. There's also all things overlanding patches and stickers. So if you're into any of that stuff, you want to slap them on your headliner or put them on your windows or your fridge or anything like that, check those out. And then last but not least, there's a link to the Newbie Overlanders Facebook group. Now, this is a free group to join. 24,000 people in it at the time I'm recording this, and it's just a great group of people. It's tons of fun, and it's a good place to ask questions. Different from the big groups. There's no bullying or anything like that. So if you just want to come and learn, or if you want to help newer people and you've been doing overlanding for a while, again, we'd love to have you in that group because we just want to help each other and get more people into the hobby. So check that out. But again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I look forward to chatting with you in the comments, and we'll see you next time.